Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you a tutorial on how I made my Sakura nails. Let's take a closer look. There are big petals, medium-sized petals, and also small-sized petals, and also some branches with beading at the top. Now let's get started. The materials that you will need include a Q-tip, a cuticle stick, and also one more tool that is also cylinder-shaped and a bit thicker than the cuticle stick. It can really be anything. These are for shaping our petals. Gold-colored thin nail wire, a pair of scissors, and a pair of tweezers. First, we will shape the big petals using the thick tool, and we're going to take some nail wire and just wrap it around. You don't need to keep too much length on the other side, just a little bit like this is enough. And then we're going to cross it over the wire and hold it in place, and then twist your tool around. You want to keep twisting it until it is tight and there is almost no gap between the wire and the stick. Once you're happy with it, slide it out and you should have this ring shape. Now use your tweezers to shape the indents at the end of each Sakura petal. So we're just gonna pinch the wire with the tweezers and then bend it inwards. Once on the left, and then one more time on the right. You want the indent part to be centered. And now just slowly work with it until you get the shape that you want. Be careful because the wire does bend quite easily, so you want to be gentle, but also need to press down firmly to create the shape. Next, we will form a V shape at the other end of the petal. Hold it in place from the other side and then just gently pinch with your finger. Make sure to pinch the other side as well. And there is your first Sakura petal. I'm just going to take my scissors now and cut off the end. Notice how it is very flat right now. We're going to place it over the stick and just give it some curve to make it look like the petals are lifted up. And now we're done shaping our wire petal. Now you can put this petal aside and then do the same for all of the petals that you will need. Use the cuticle stick for medium-sized petals and then the Q-tip for the small-sized petals. I used around 60 petals for 5 nails. When using the Q-tip, make sure you snip off one end so that you can make sure the wire will slide out. Once the petals are done, we will start coloring them and we'll need UV resin, a syrupy pink gel polish, and a red glass jelly polish. Make sure to always wear gloves when handling UV resin. First, I'm going to squeeze out some resin on some waterproof paper. If you have a small size container, that works as well. Now we're going to take a petal and just dip it into the resin. I'm bringing up the sheet closer so you guys can see. But once you dip it in, it should kind of cling to the sides, kind of like when you blow bubbles. And then flash cure it under your lamp. I like to place a sheet of paper inside my lamp, and so I can just leave these there after I flash cure them. And then do the same for all of the rest. Cure for a full minute at the end. In the meantime, you can also prep your nail polish colors and put them on your palette. Now I'm just going to use a liner brush to fill in each of the petals with the pink syrup color. Flash cure the petal and then do the same for all of the rest. Next, we'll take our liner brush again and use the red jelly polish and just color in the petal from the very tip. You want to slowly spread out and ombre out the jelly color. You can do this by wiping off excess polish and then just lightly tapping and pulling it out. Do this as well for all of the other petals and then flash cure them again. We will do one more layer of the red, but just at the very tip. Blend this out as well, just a little bit. Do this for all of the petals again and flash cure for 10 seconds. Now that all of the petals are cured, we're going to do one more coat of resin on the top and also on the bottom. Using a brush, just gently brush it over everything. And this will add extra protection for the petals. Cure all of the petals for a full minute. And now our petals are done. Use your scissors to snip off all of the petals at the very tip. We don't need the stems any longer. Ta-da! Here's the first completed petal. Oops. Now that the petals are done, we'll do the base nail. I'm using some Diami corn tips for a long stiletto shape. I'm using a size 7 and I'm just lightly filing the tip to perfect the shape. And then use a buffer to buff all over the top of the nails to get it ready. And then attach it to a nail tip holder. I'm using one made by Minute Nails. They are the best and prevent me from getting hand cramps. Now I'm adding a layer of 𝐬𝐨𝐫𝐞 base coat. This is my favorite base coat. It's not too thick or too runny and it never has any bubbles. Next I'm going to use Nail Bio's Doughy Nudie Pink and Candy Gel's Planner Flower Shower. The nude part will cover my natural nail and then it will ombre into the glitter. Nail Bio's nude gels are formulated really well. They apply on super smoothly and are super beautiful. She only has 6 colors available out right now and the whole collection is named after her daughter. Now I'm using an ombre gradient brush to lightly tap out the nude and blend it out. Cure it under your lamp and then I'm going to do 2 more layers of this. And now we will add the glitter. Candy Gel's Flower Shower Glitter is a really unique gold glitter that has little white flecks in it that look like dried flowers. Use a liner brush to smooth out the glitters and bring them up. And now our base nail is done and we can move on to attaching the flowers. We'll be using Jinbee's Crazy Top Thick Gel and this little light for flash curing. Let's work from top to bottom on the flowers. I'm going to start at the top with a big petal and just dip that into the Jinbee Crazy Top Thick Gel. I use this gel a lot for adhering charms and also for securing large bulky charms. It's really great because it has a thick viscosity so the charms don't move and it's also no white. So we're just going to place it where we want our flower to be and flash cure it under the light. You only need to hold for a couple seconds and then the petal should stick. And there's our first petal and we're just going to do the same for all of the rest. Dip it into the gel and then flash cure it under the light. This would be a lot easier if you have a torch that is clamped onto a stand or one that is touch sensitive. I'm hoping to get the Gel torch and stand once it's available on Sweetie Nail Supplies so that I don't have to keep pressing this button anymore. Make sure that your petals are all facing the right way with the ends curling upwards. I think I might have flipped one of mine here, but here's the completed big flower. And now we'll go ahead and attach the rest. Now the flowers here are a bit lower on the nail compared to my original, and there's not a lot of space left at the bottom, so instead of doing another full flower, I'm just going to add 2 little petals. It's important to be flexible and know how to readjust your designs so that they look the best. If I were to add another flower, it would be too clumped up. Now that the petals are attached, we're going to make the branches. Take a piece of gold wire like so, thread in 1 bead, and then you just want to fold the wire in half and then twist it together. You can use tweezers to help you get rid of any gaps that are near the bead. Place it against your flower to double check the length is good. And if you're happy with it, then you can move on to the next branch. Thread another bead through, and then repeat the same process of folding the wire and then twisting it. Do the same thing for the 3rd branch and then twist everything together until you get this shape. Next, I'm just going to cut off the excess wire, and then we'll dip it in the thick gel again, and then flash cure it into place. Now I'm going to add some more gel into the centers, and then add some caviar and pearl beads to decorate the rest of the nail. Cure the nail once you're happy with the placements, and then we're going to take the thick Jimby gel again, and then use a liner brush to put it all around the flowers. This will help secure everything in place. Cure that under your lamp, and then we're going to do the final step, which is applying a no-wipe top coat. I'm using my favorite top coat by 𝐬𝐴, and we're just going to top coat everything. It isn't actually necessary to top coat the flower petals because we've coated it with resin already and secured it in place with the Jimby Crazy Top Thick Gel. However, the 𝐬𝐴 top coat has a really nice gloss finish, and it can also help hide any little brush strokes from the resin. If you do choose to top coat your flower petals, make sure you do it in very thin layers so you don't lose the shape. And then finally, cure it under your lamp again, and then we are all done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and also tag me in your recreations on Instagram. Thank you!